I'm Pat Doris, and welcome to The Story. We're starting tonight at PGE's new operations center because we're talking about wildfire and weather, and when the utility will make the decision whether or not to cut off our power as the summer storms come through. It's something we never used to have to worry about here in the Northwest, but the times are changing. In September of 2022, Portland General Electric shut off the power for 37,000 customers across Oregon, including many in Portland's West Hills. It happened as a dry, hot windstorm approached. It was the first time the power was shut off in advance of a storm in the city. The concern? That high winds could knock down trees and power lines would go with them, sparking dangerous fires. Pacific Power also cut the electricity to 10,000 customers in the towns of Otis, the Santiam Canyon, and east of Sweet Home. The shutoffs last year followed the disastrous September of 2020 when fires pushed by dry, hot winds killed 9 people, burned 1,800 square miles in Oregon, and destroyed nearly 5,000 homes and structures. Pacific Power recently lost a lawsuit by homeowners who argued the utility was at fault for not shutting off its power lines before that storm. Now, both companies have beefed up their forecasting abilities, which is why I'm at the PGE Operations Center.
We'll head over here into the Emergency Operations Center where
I'm here to meet their new fire weather meteorologist.
This is the place?
And here we are with
Lisa Krederman.
Before this job as the meteorologist for PGE, I was with the National Weather Service as an incident meteorologist. And what I did was I would go out to these wildfires, I would dispatch out to these and be their on-site meteorologist, with my number one priority being the safety of firefighters. So that was a big, that was my main priority. And I took that to heart, and it was a stressful thing, but it was something that I knew I had to do. And I had the tools to do it, just as I do here. I have the certain weather models I look at, the certain thresholds. I talk to people out in the field, and it's a team effort to maintain the safety of firefighters. One of the tools I use is just looking at the visible satellite over here over the
Now that
Pacific
she's
Northwest.
at PGE, she will be one of the main experts deciding whether to shut off your power as summer storms approach. She'll rely on a wide range of high-tech systems to help inform her decision. There's the live satellite map showing how the weather is moving. This day, it proved sensitive enough to reveal a streak of smoke from the Canadian wildfires that had moved south with a weather system.
So the smoke is this light gray area stretching across southern Oregon and into Idaho. And here's our map of all the weather stations across the area.
There's also a map crowded with public and private weather stations across Oregon, broadcasting real-time temperatures and wind speed and direction.
But if we clicked all, then it would pretty much turn it black because
Really?
there's so much weather stations across the area now.
PGE installed 70 weather stations of their own and taps into the reports of many others. There's also the power shutoff map, highlighting in pink the areas most at risk should a wildfire break out.
You have more potential there for that risk than other places in our service territory.
One of the most impressive pieces of technology, 26 cameras loaded with artificial intelligence and posted high above the tree line in those areas on the power shutoff map.
These cameras are constantly scanning 360 degrees around them to see if there's any potential for any smoke.
They can see for 30 miles and accurately detect smoke within 10 miles.
So sort of the high-tech version of the old tower lookout?
Exactly.
When the cameras spot something, they send an alert. They also learn to tell the difference between steam and fog and smoke. As we looked at a feed from the camera on her laptop, the meteorologist showed me an alert from this day, a barely visible trace of smoke.
So we can dial right in here, and it's going to go through, and it's very, very hard to see, but just for an instant, I did see a little wiggle right there.
Wow, because I was looking at this stuff over here.
Right.
Which is probably just fog or something.
And so these little crosshairs is where that artificial intelligence is saying, hey, it's something is right here.
Another alert took us to another slight thread of smoke, pointed to by the cursor in the camera.
Sure.
Just a little wisp. It's going to be right at the top of the triangle. Wow. Oh, yeah.
The cameras not only send an alert and a video clip of the smoke, it also shows a location on the map. On top of all that, Lisa Krederman will use computer-generated predictions for what the weather will do in various locations based on current conditions and assumptions and 30 years of historical observations. She knows that making the call to shut off your power is a big decision.
How much pressure on you is that, knowing that you're going to affect the lives of thousands of people?
It's something that we take very seriously. Public safety is our #1 priority.
I know, but do you stay up at night worrying about it, or?
Well, yes, but that's just the meteorologist in me. I am always wondering what the weather is going to be doing. But it's something that the 20 years of experience I've had that I have dialed into what is important for wildfire weather.
And while she hopes the weather cooperates this summer, her experience tells her it may not, which is, after all, why she's here.
I do look forward to fire season just because that has been my focus for so many years. I don't.
We're not saying you're looking forward to the destruction
right.
and stuff.
That's why I don't.
But it's
I
sort
don't
of
want
like,
to come across
yeah,
as I
but it's
enjoy
game
the
time.
destruction, but it is game time, and the reason why wildfires spread is because of weather.
Yeah.
So it's nice to understand and watch as it evolves what happens to these fires and what that weather pattern is doing and what was the meteorological feature that really got certain fires going and some others not.
That was a super interesting interview. By the way, PGE said its special cameras have already played a big role. Last year, there was a wildfire near Hague Lake, west of Portland. PGE says its AI cameras spotted it and gave crews a 2-hour head start on attacking that fire. So that's Portland General Electric. What about Pacific Power? What are they up to? We'll go behind the scenes with their lead fire meteorologist tomorrow night. In the meantime, what do you think about the way the PGE handles this? Did anything surprise you? Share your thoughts. Email us. The address is thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090. I look forward to hearing from you. As fire season really ramps up in the coming weeks, experts are getting together now to look at areas of concern. On Friday, for example, the Fire Weather Program Manager for U.S. Fish and Wildlife held a conference with the Bureau of Land Management, Forest Service, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and the Oregon Department of Forestry. They talked about the dramatic winter rains to our south, which have some parts of southeast Oregon far more wet than normal for this time of year. But much of the rest of our region has been really dry. Combine that with the return of El Nino weather patterns, and experts say parts of Oregon and all of Washington could be in for a warmer, drier start to this summer. That is not good news for fire conditions.
I'm putting all of Washington into above average potential for large costly fires as we move into the heat of July when fire season really kicks in. I'm also going to include southeast Oregon and northwest Oregon. So what this graphic is saying is that these areas are probably the prime regions with those optimum combinations of windy, dry conditions, high fire danger, and ignitions all come together at the same time at the same place.
Experts want to stress that more than 80% of the wildfires are caused by people. So being safe about things like putting out campfires, disposing of cigarette butts, and using fireworks can really help ensure that we don't cause more damage to an ecosystem that's often ripe for fires to spread.